Banks are making money, but they ain't taking it home. Let's talk to Jed Horowitz. He's Reuters senior correspondent. All right, Jed, over at J.P. Morgan, fourth quarter net income up about 50%, but Jamie Dimon's bonus down 50%.
That really is the story, but with banks today. Fundamentally, both J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs did much, much better than anybody expected. I mean, they were roaring on all cylinders. Revenue really came in, but all anybody wants to talk about is, wow, they cut poor Jamie's comp by 50% to $11.5 million.
That's right, because of the whole whale trading fiasco with the board. So do you think that that's behind them now?
They've really gone a long way to work on the cosmetics of that. 3 people below Jamie Dimon are no longer in their positions. He took a 50% cut, don't ask how much, but he took the 50% cut. They've made a lot of changes. There will still be some residue in Congress when things go wrong with banks, but I think it's getting behind them.
So it's $10.5 million, I think, is his bonus on top of the salary of $1 million and something, right?
Something like that, yeah.
And over at Goldman, also compensation there, right, percentage-wise reduced.
Percentage-wise, Goldman is getting stingy. So I think they paid like 37% of their revenue this year as compensation, which is always the biggest expense on Wall Street. But that compares with like a historical norm of maybe 50%.
Right.
The trick is that there are a lot fewer people because Goldman, like every other big bank on Wall Street and around the world, has been laying people off. So there's more money to go around, even if the percentage shrinks.
Exactly. All right. So let's talk about net interest margins with low interest rates. Look ahead going forward. Is this still going to squeeze the banks?
Look, the banks have been squeezed for 2-3 years now. Whatever they take in interest, they can't really they can't invest it, so the margin's going down. But people were telling me today, I talked to the CFO of Charles Schwab, which is also very dependent on investing clients' money so that their interest goes up. Right. And he said he thinks it's probably going to go a little lower, but we're seeing a bottoming now if there's no major changes in Fed policy.
All right, great. Jed, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn now and talk to Ernie Scheider, Reuters correspondent. And Ernie, this seems kind of like a tipping point to me about Boeing. What do you think? I mean, JAL and Al Nippon now grounding these 787 Dreamliners based on this latest emergency landing.
Yeah, these 2 Japanese airlines operate roughly half of the 787 Dreamliners out there right now. So for them to come out and say we're going to ground it, that's terrible news for Boeing. Of course, the situation that precipitated it, they were flying one, and customers said they were smelling an odor like burning plastic. I mean, you never want that.
Here's actual footage from these people. I mean, now that it's really affecting passengers on this level, as you mentioned, they're smelling a fire. Ion lithium battery, that was the same battery that had the fire in the other plane as well.
Yes, I mean, this is sort of heralded as a way for them to cut fuel consumption and a way to be more green, so to speak. But, you know, if they continue to have fire problems, you can't get the plane off the ground, that's not really good at all for optics, and it's not really good because people aren't going to want to be in it. They're going to say, give me the old aluminum tube any day.
Yeah, United in this country has the 787s, but no word that they're going to ground those planes so far.
Yes, they said that they're going to keep using them, but if Boeing keeps having problems, we'll see. And as you can see, it's clearly affecting the stock, down about 3 or 4% today.
Right.
So investors are spooked. This is Boeing's future.
All right, let's move to the hot spot. And as we do, remember, folks, those snaps at the bottom of your screen for more headlines of the day. Apple clawing its way back after a tough couple of days. Boy, slipped under 500.
An apple a day.
An apple a day is about, what, 484 or something when we did the show this time yesterday. Today, B of A and Stifel cutting their price targets, but Morgan Stanley says don't panic, right?
Don't panic, and the stock is above that $500 a share psychological threshold mark. Morgan Stanley is saying, a lot of the concern in the past few days with Apple about cutting some of its own supplier orders, that's just smoke and mirrors. Don't worry about it too much. Morgan Stanley is saying that it's still a good idea to buy the stock, and they like what Apple is doing. Let's not forget they've got a strong product. They've got customers that are willing to pay a high premium for them. You yourself are willing to wait hours and days in line for a new Apple product.
No, I'm not, but I do have an iPhone.
And they're investing in new areas like Apple TV that people are very excited about. So Morgan Stanley is saying, chill out, people.
All right, lunchtime. Let's move on to Chipotle.
My favorite time of day.
We like to talk about them a lot. Food costs, marketing, and promotion. I mean, food costs up all around, but they're saying this is really affecting their business. They're really warning about this.
I mean, AAA had been the darling of Wall Street for years, and then you had some people come in and say, geesh, I don't know if, if we're on $400 a share is sustainable. They rely on
David Einhorn.
David Einhorn especially got in there.
Yep.
And you know what? He was onto something. Prices for corn continue to rise. Prices for other key commodity food staples continue to rise. And this is what AAA needs to make its Mexican products. And so as the prices go up, you squeeze margins. That really affects the stock price.
All right, down 6% today. Alibaba, this is interesting because yesterday CEO Jack Ma said that he's leaving. He'll become chairman. Today, reports out that possibly they're going public, although they're denying it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a bit of a confusing signal here. Yeah. One person reporting one thing and they saying no. But with the CEO leaving, that enters a lot of palace intrigue. What's really going on? Yeah. Alibaba is like the Amazon of China. They sell a lot of
huge e-commerce site.
Huge e-commerce site. Yahoo owns a big chunk of it. So if they do IPO, it could give Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer extra cash to reinvest in Yahoo. She's got this multi-year transformation underway. So we'll see.
And Yahoo's seeing a bump in the stock today, over 2%. Let's go back to the market monitor, shall we?
Sure.
And talk us a little GM and Facebook. I like this quote, GM's interim marketing chief, Alan Beatty, about pulling their ads off of Facebook about 8 months ago. He's saying, it's not a Mexican standoff.
What is a Mexican standoff?
I don't know what
that was my first reaction when I heard that quote.
I don't know what a Mexican standoff is either. I know. Cue the movie music or something. That they might be going back into Facebook because we know that there's good news now coming out of Facebook ads.
More and more people are using them and seeing, more companies are using them and seeing results by advertising on Facebook. Also yesterday, Facebook announced its Facebook Graph feature, which is still nascent but has the potential to really transform how Facebook collects revenue. So you can ask it a question like, which of my friends owns a Corvette?
Right.
And Facebook will tell you.
Exactly.
So if I'm a GM, I'm like, maybe I'm thinking about buying a Corvette or any one of the other, sundry GM cars. Which of my friends has XYZ GM car, and I can go on. And that's a way for me to have my friends sort of influence my buying patterns. GM's seeing that and they're intrigued.
Which of my friends will let me borrow their Corvette? How about that? All right, let's take a look at the Zucculator because 14.8, down slightly from the last time we checked it, which is over 15. But between he and Jamie Dimon, it's gloom and doom for those poor guys.
Can we get a tissue in here?
I know. All right, Ernie, thanks so much. Remember, folks, follow us on Twitter at Reuters Insider and check out our YouTube channel, Reuters.com/ReutersTV. I'm Lisa Bernhard. This is Reuters.